He's like, I knew I was picking up a big blue man.
Is it offensive?
No, it's not. I just find it really funny. He's like, I knew I was picking up a big blue car. I didn't know I was also picking up a big blue man. And he's just, it's not that funny. It's not that funny. Anyway.
Would you like to have...
So I actually lost my wallet. Well, I didn't lose it. I know where it is, but it's not with me anymore. I left it in a transfer to an airport. And then I couldn't tell. I was at the airport and I realized I didn't have my wallet, and it's very early in the morning. And I was like, I've either left it at home or left it in my transfer, my cab. So I was like texting, is it at home? But like Talia wasn't home. And then later, like when I got to the airport, like someone from work called me and was like, oh, by the way, I think you left your wallet in the transfer. And I was like, okay, not ideal, but like they're like a corporate professional transfer company. They're not going to like steal my wallet. And they like declared it missing. So that's fine. And I was like, I don't need a wallet, right? Like I'm not paying for stuff on my work trip. And then like I've got my phone with my cards on it, and I've got my passport for ID. Like I should be fine. Did my work trip, all good. Didn't pay for anything there anyway. And then I was flying to eat. I couldn't have time to go and collect my wallet because I got in from Venice late Tuesday night. Late Thursday night, and I had to fly early Friday morning. And then I was like, I don't need a wallet. I'm fine. I don't need a wallet. I was tapping here and there, like everything. And then I get into Egypt at immigration, and it's very hectic. And it's like you need to pay a fee in cash for the visa, which is like a sticker in your passport that gets stamped. And this is like the level of how ropey this thing is. You can either pay $25, £25, or €25, or Egyptian currency. So there's like no sense of what we're converting here. What's the price? 25.
Yeah.
Just call it an even 25. And so I realized, I go to the guy, I'm like, hi, like, I don't have any cash. And he's like, cash machine over there. And the cash machine looked like a cash machine from the 1940s. I know they probably did exist. It was like the dust you could wipe from that thing. And then like it needed coal to go in there. So it was never going to be one of those digital ones where like my app gives me a thing. So then I realized I'm just stuck at the border trying to get into Egypt. And I'm now just like begging people for some money. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Have you got...
Were you on your own then? You went with family?
Yeah, I was on my own because I flew late because I came from work. So I was like, hi, can I have $25? And I promise I'll pay you back. And like 3 people said no, but then one guy really nicely said yes. I was like, oh, thank you.
Was he,
He was English.
Yeah, right. Okay, fair enough. Did you give him the money?
I did, yeah. I sent it to him.
You
I also didn't, in where I went in Egypt, my data didn't immediately carry on. So I couldn't even like load my app to pay him then and there. I was like, I promise I'll pay you. And then I had to go in the airport, buy an overpriced SIM to get data.
Wow.
Guys, you need your wallet.
Well, you had to buy a SIM for your iPhone. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's cheaper to buy, instead of buying through your provider, which can be very expensive for data, you can buy a SIM card in the airport and just put that on your phone.
And you have a different number?
No, SIM number. Wow. The equations around what I just said.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just like, I just buy data. I don't buy minutes. But guys, you need your wallet. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, so
I actually went to a place where I really
just
did
whilst
need
we're
a wallet.
talking about the kindness of strangers, that's very nice. I do think about cashless society, and I do think it's cool when it's efficient. It's like, hey, we only take cash. Only take cards.
Just float your device.
Yeah, but then I'm like, I do think it, isolates older people. I'm talking, people over a certain age who are, you got to. I find it more bothersome when you go to places and they're like, there's just no cash acceptance at all. And I'm talking even places like like Gales I went to recently, they're like card only, and I'm like, yeah, but if you're like a sweet old lady coming in with your cash, who are very, very attached to their cash, which is a generational thing, which is totally fine. Yeah. They're like, no, and I'm like, it is also legal tender. Like this is legal money.
This should still kind of be there. I think that
just because I think it's something to do with the fact there's some sort of I please correct me. I've no knowledge of running a retail customer-facing business. So, but I'm sure there's some sort of like payment fee. You have to, some additional cost that is incurred by having cash on site. Well, obviously you've got to pay someone to cash up. You've got to take someone to count the cash. And I do agree that obviously being card only is efficient.
You got to have the cash guy come in like the armored thing.
Yeah.
The armored van.
In a cash guy.
Yeah.
But it's, anyway, this is not a financial podcast. This is a film podcast.
Trying to stop all the money laundering. They've got to stop Walter White's whole laundromat thing happening. That's what they need to stop.
You do, when we were in London as well, you do walk past a lot of places and you're like, I mean, that's
the entirety of Oxford Street is a completely failed borough. It's completely fell.
Oxford Street isn't a borough.
Whatever you want to call it, like that
London
entire
Borough of Oxford Street.
No, just that whole
District,
region is just
sector,
completely declined.
Street.
Yeah.
Street's fine.
Yeah.
I think we're out of our depth there. We don't know what we're talking about. Welcome to episode 97.
George, we sold out.
We did.
The
Thank you.
big
Well, we
film
sold out the
podcast.
quiz. We didn't sell out morally. I think that's
Not
we
yet.
sold out. Not yet. That's coming when we do our novelty
Oh,
album.
yeah, give us time.
It's all
Give us
pulping in
time.
the kitchen.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who bought tickets for our pub quiz that we're doing in London. Sold out within 18 hours.
Yeah, I was expecting to re-promote it this episode and probably another episode. But guys, thank you so much to all of you who bought tickets. And we're really sorry that we didn't do a bigger event or we couldn't have made it bigger and better. But
here's the thing, guys.
Yeah.
It's our first event. So there's a lot of things we had to work out. And it's a little bit of an exercise for us. It's the first time, 100 tickets, running 90 tickets even, running an event. What we will say is I'm aware that a lot of our listeners are either not UK-based or not even London-based and wanted to have it streamed and all that kind of stuff. We're not streaming it just because of the practicalities of the venue. But don't worry, guys. This has opened a whole new avenue for Pulp Kitchen stuff. So there'll be brighter days ahead and things will happen. So
and just to reiterate, the pub quiz is not our 100th episode.
Yes,
that's to celebrate 100 episodes. You're still going to get a full fat episode 100.
Yes.
With films in it, I assume, or just us chatting
We'll
about
see.
stuff. Yeah.
And voice notes from people.
Yes,
We've already had.
please make sure you
I
send
think
those
we've
in.
had a couple, but guys, I mean, please send in your voice
Send
notes
in
from
your voice notes and be a part of
it's
the
just a
show.
question. Just ask a question in a voice note. I've had some great ones already.
Yeah.
So please do that. And yes, sorry guys, we're not trying to exclude you. It was just a little event, but more to come. And excitingly, yes, an actual Pulp Kitchen 100th episode. Anyway, so like last week, the roles are reversed because this week James is the one who's tired and a bit jet lagged, and I am the one who's been out at the London Film Festival seeing things. James, I love the London Film Festival. This is not a branded opportunity. I'm just saying.
It's great.
I'm enjoying that energy and seeing and joining queues of people waiting. Do you know, I mean, my showing for Killers of the Flower Moon was at 8 o'clock in the morning.
You sent me a picture of the queue.
Yeah,
You were concerned.
3.5 hour movie. I got up at 5:30 and I downed a cup of tea, got my little packed breakfast, got there, and the queue was around the block, and I was halfway through the queue by the end.
How close was it to you not getting a seat?
Everyone got a seat because they ran 2 concurrent screenings. I'm pretty sure everyone got a seat, which is not the case of on Monday. I saw Maestro, which I will be reviewing next week, and which was at the same time of How to Have Sex, which I really wanted to see, but I had to split the two, and I just chose Maestro. But How to Have Sex was completely oversubscribed, and all the spillover came into Maestro, which was a bigger screen.
How to Have Sex would have had a smaller.
And so the first 5 minutes of Maestro was just people being sort of shepherded in, who were probably like, well, I didn't want to watch this. But anyway, that's not this week. That's next week, if you want to stay tuned for that. This week, I've been seeing Killers of the Flower Moon, the big film, one of the biggest releases of this year, Martin Scorsese's new film. And I've also seen Andrew Haigh's new film, All of Us Strangers, which stars Andrew Scott, Paul Mescal, Claire Foy, and Jamie Bell. We talked about it when we were looking ahead at the films that were coming out. 2 very different films. What I like is that Killers of the Flower Moon is out by the time this episode comes out, I think next week. Next Friday.
So within 2 days.
Whereas All of Us Strangers comes out in January. So you've got an immediate release coming out and you've got a bit of a preview as well. But yeah, I love the energy of the festival and coming out, everyone's chatting and you're hearing the little industry conversations between people and you're like, oh, that person's a critic, that person's a screenwriter.
I hear a lot of very pretentious conversations, but I'm here for it. Who are we to talk?
So many tote bags. Look
yeah.
at my New Yorker tote bag, my movie tote bag.
The bookshop tote bags are very big,
The way, the scruffiness with which people dress these days, James.
Really? Do you think?
No, I'm just kidding. But it's been a really, really exciting time. And so we are happy to and excited to share activity on this podcast. What a great time.
I feel bad for Scorsese. Obviously, you got to hear him talk, but I feel like I've seen so many little interviews where everyone's now asking him, what do you think about the state of movies now?
That's literally what happened. So basically, I went to...
you can't just go anywhere.
What was great about Saturday is that after seeing Killers of the Flower Moon, I had like a 2-hour break, and then I went into a live screen talk interview with Scorsese in person at the Royal Festival Hall, moderated by Edgar Wright. And it was really interesting. And obviously, it's that thing when Scorsese walks on stage, but like when we saw Tarantino, it's someone so iconic and so famous, you kind of takes your breath away. And you think, there he is. That's our guy.
Bill Marty.
He was, he's 80 years old, but he's still really sharp and funny and sprightly.
He's never looked like he's winding down at all.
No. That's the thing. I mean, he's getting on a bit, but I was like, we could, judging by his state of character at the moment, I was like, we could easily get another,
like Clint Eastwood, just keep going.
Yeah, another 3 or 4 films out of this guy.
Yeah.
But
like he's a product, like he's
no, but
I know.
But the session was really interesting. I think Edgar Wright just sort of talked to him about like the state of cinema, and Marty kind of pivoted and said like, well, as long as it's not content, because Edgar Wright was like, do you want, as long as there's more film directors than content creators, right? And he was like, what is content? I mean, I don't really know what it is. It's just noise. It's just out there. I mean, come on. I mean, cinema. Content is what I put the TV on in the background at home.
He loves his little stumbling.
And he was very funny. I mean, one thing I will say is that the moderation the most interesting part of it was when Martin Scorsese talked about more recent films, and less canonized Scorsese films like The Aviator and Working with Leo, stuff which hasn't been talked about. Whereas the first half of the talk was spending a lot of time talking about Mean Streets and Taxi Driver, which great films, but a lot has been said about those films. They are canonized. They have their place, and a lot's been written about it. And Scorsese was saying anecdotes, and I was like, oh wow, Robert De Niro improvised the "You Talking to Me" line in Taxi Driver. I've never heard that before. Not that I wanted to generate Marty for content, but when he talked about Leo and the Killers of the Flower Moon itself, that was when he sort of came alive for me. But anyway, it's one of the big releases this year, and we're going to talk about it thusly. So, Killers of the Flower Moon, the new movie by Martin Scorsese, who, as we were just talking about, is probably one of the most recognizable names, film director names, still working today. One of the definitely most accomplished directors. He's at the top of the mountain. He is someone who is able to share critical and popular, love and awe, and when a new Scorsese film comes out, it's like an event.
Biggest talent.
Absolutely. Biggest thing. So, and he brings with him now The Killers of the Flower Moon, which is his first film since The Irishman. Similar to The Irishman, it is another 3.5-hour epic. It has a budget of approximately $200 million.
It's a lot
of money. This time it is not produced by Netflix as The Irishman was. This is made by Apple Pictures, Apple Original Films, with an unspecified as yet release date for its release on streaming. So currently only being talked about with a cinematic release.
Which they'd never just put that straight on streaming. It has to be nominated for Best Picture.
No, but when it came to Netflix, everyone knew the date that it would arrive on streaming, whereas it's been unspecified at the moment, which I think is really interesting. So, Killers of the Flower Moon. Let's talk about the story. Essentially, it is set in 1920s, 1930s Oklahoma, based on a true story as well, in Osage County, Oklahoma, to do with the Osage Native American tribe. And what happens, and you see, this is like the opening prologue of the film, is that the Osage Native Americans discover oil on their land. And what that leads to is a huge economic and financial boom in their, amongst their community. Because their land is protected, it is their land, they own the rights to the land. And what you get is this really interesting creation, and which is so refreshing to see, and it's so sad that it's underseen and underserved, is a affluent, moneyed Native American people who own cars and are indulging in the consumerism of the 1920s and 1930s. It's really refreshing.
That's almost never
exactly.
Seen or portrayed
And
in cinema.
you there, and you have a predominantly working class white population who are the drivers, who are the people taking their photos, the people who bother the Osage people as they go about their business and every day in town, right? In this context, you also have a lot of white landowners who are farmers and etc. And into this context comes Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Ernest Burkhart. Ernest Burkhart is a World War I veteran, a sort of gummy-faced, pudgy, prostheticized Leonardo DiCaprio. He's not the sharpest man. He's not the sharpest knife in the box. And he arrives back to this booming nation, completely unrecognizing. He doesn't recognize the whole area. And there are oil derricks for as far as the eye can see. And he's being driven to his uncle, played by Robert De Niro's house. And on the way there, he says to the driver, he says, "Wow, whose land is this?" And I believe the line from the Native American driver is, "It's our land. It's Osage land." He arrives at his uncle's property where his brother is and his aunt, and he's kind of welcomed back. And Robert De Niro's character of Willie Hale, sometimes called Uncle Hale, or as he says to Leo, "Call me King."
Motorbikes, thank you.
Just motorbikes in the background. "Call me King, you call me King." And there's this bit very, very early on where he sort of sits down, Robert De Niro sits Leonardo DiCaprio's character down and says, "How's the war? And what can you do? And what are you good at?" "Well, this is the thing around here. There's oil, and there's the Osage people. They're a kind people, and we're farmers. We own this land," and sort of lays out the rules of the area. In this mix, though, not behind closed doors, but what is happening at the same time is murders. You're having a succession of Osage people, wealthy Osage people being murdered, and it being unresolved and uninvestigated. Within this context, Leo's character, Ernest Burkhart, meets Molly, a wealthy Osage family member, as they refer to in the film, full-blooded with head rights, which means rights to their land, the oil land. And they develop a connection, they have a chemistry, and they begin a kind of, they have the beginnings of a relationship. And this is very, very early on in the film. And I don't want to, it's 3.5 hours. I really can't spoil it. We'd be here for ages for me to try and spoil everything. So you have this tension between this kind of love at the center of it between Molly and Ernest, and this wider increasing murders of the Osage people. And it's all, of course, contextualized to do with oil and greed and people who want that oil, basically. The script the production's been working on this for ages, and COVID had an effect on it. Originally, DiCaprio, the film was going to focus on the Jesse Plemons' character, and DiCaprio was going to play that, but instead they kind of shifted it and made it about Ernest. Anyway, it is a epic Western period crime drama from Martin Scorsese. It is very long, but it is very, very good. That's what I have to say. First of all, when I was sat in the opening minutes of the film, I was so relieved and comforted by being in Martin Scorsese's presence, because I was immediately reminded of his skill, masterful skill as...
It's not his first film.
It's not his first film. His craft at being an excellent storyteller. His command of imagery, sound, performance, dialogue to create tension and drama is, masterful. He is a master of his craft. He's at the top of his game for a reason. As you say, it's not his first film. And I was basically instantly enraptured in his tale and what he was weaving. I think that with the story, I've given you the very bare bones of it, but it kind of starts from that point, and I think I was just sat there 5 minutes and thinking, this is a really, really interesting story.
5 minutes in.
This is a really gripping tale. You've got the kind of affluent Native American class here, which we're not used to being seen on screen. You've got over here, you've got the kind of really ambiguous at first tension with the kind of white characters within the film, and it's just a really interesting tale that you can follow on the simple narrative plots, but kind of thematically as well. This is a film where it's about having a tinderbox of racial tension and racial resentment being lit by greed, and that is what that bears out is violence, and predominantly, actually, particularly violence against women. It's really interesting, and at the center of it, you have a trio of performances from Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Lily Gladstone. All the performances, shocker, are amazing. When you're working in the hands of Scorsese, of course they're going to be great performances. But Leo delivers a really great performance. Ernest Burkhart is a really interesting character because, like I said, he's not super smart. He's not super slick. He's messy. He's a fool, and he's being used as a pawn, as a puppet, being sucked into Robert De Niro's gravitational pull in this. And the sort of morally questionable heart of Ernest and his easily corruptible nature kind of drives a lot of this film. I think with Robert De Niro, honestly, it's one of the best Robert De Niro performances I've seen in a long time. He is. Well, I think if he gets nominated, he'll be for best supporting actor because Leo would go for main. But I think he is. Yeah, he's incredible. He is a absolutely main character in this, and his whole. I was like, oh my god, De Niro is switching it on for this. Yeah. Like he does so many films, and obviously like he walks into some of them, but it's like he has an upper register that he saves for Martin Scorsese, that he like dials up, that comes out of hypersleep when Martin Scorsese hires him. And I was like, oh my god, I have not seen De Niro be this good in ages. And he is this kind of genial, smiling, but also sinister and threatening presence. And against that, you have Lily Gladstone as Molly, who is just so wise and grounded and elegant in her position that it's a brilliant contrast to these men all around her. In a way, every scene Lily Gladstone was in, I was like, can we have more? Can we have more Lily Gladstone, please? She's just great. I think that when I use that word for sinister for De Niro, it's like that is the tone of the film. I was like, oh, this is sinister. This is threatening. There is this real uncomfortable sense of threat that grows throughout.
The trailer really gives that across too.
Yeah, and
awkwardness.
Yes, this awkward, unkind, racial motivated, greed motivated violence that's sort of creeping in from the outside of the frame. I think what Scorsese does really well as well as the small details, which is that like the actors that he casts all have fantastic faces. I mean, craggy, worn, 1,000-yard stares. They look like they've been drinking moonshine for decades. I mean, honestly, their faces so like pop-marked that they make Tommy Lee Jones look like he could do a Nivea commercial, okay? Like they are just instantly part of the detail. And you also have fantastic costumes and a costume design with Leo's character, with Ernest. The way his costume develops throughout is just another very excellent, subtle narrative technique to advance the story. And it's like looking at like a Turner painting or a Constable painting where you have this huge just story and rich in detail and life at the command of Martin Scorsese. And look, yes, it's long, but it's not indulgent. It's not bloated. It's not wasting your time. This isn't Damien Chazelle's Babylon. This isn't someone going, I'm going to make a 3-hour, 10-minute film. A friend of mine,
film for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A friend of mine said, oh, the arrogance of a 3.5-hour film. And I said, well, first of all, it's Martin Scorsese. And he is 80 now. And I think he's earned the right with his back catalogue to make a film as long as he wants. But the fact is,
3.5-hour movies are good.
Yeah. And he absolutely uses every inch of real estate to tell this story. I kid you not, particularly in the first hour and a half. So I need annoyingly, pretty early on, I was like, shit, I need to pee. Okay? And like, I'd done everything, and I could not get out of my seat for over an hour and a half because every scene was essential. It was so gripping to the story.
Did you pee?
I did, in my pants. No. I nipped out and I was as fast as I could, and I came back in and I was like, oh, something's happened. But you know what it is? I don't think it actually affected my narrative appreciation of the whole film, but I still don't. What I saw when I came back in, I'm like, I don't know what that was. I don't know where that fits in.
Just be calm, focus on the rest.
And there's also a really good score that kind of runs throughout, even in the background of every single scene on a low volume, this kind of dreading bass and sort of Western guitar. It's scored by the late Robbie Robertson, who was if anyone knows the band, Bob Dylan's spin-off guys. Fantastic, really, really great score. And that's the thing. I kind of came out of it thinking, wow, I've watched an excellent crime drama, which Scorsese does so well. Brilliantly told, brilliantly crafted. Yes, it's long, but I don't mind because it's him doing his thing. And like, I said it to a friend. A friend said to me quite rightly. He said, again, not to dwell too much on Martin Scorsese's age, and it'll be like ages, but he was like, look, I don't know how many more Marty films we're going to get. Yeah. They could be 700 hours long for all I care. I'll watch them. And I was just relieved early on that for a film that is 3.5 hours, it is as gripping and as interesting as it is. I would happily see it again.
That's what I was going to ask.
I would happily see it again because it is so detailed. And I think that what I would say to people who are, know a couple of people who are nervous about the runtime. It is an undertaking. I totally understand. What I would say to you is just go see it. Just go see it and just take in as much as you can. If you have to go and pee, that's fine. Just do it. And if you get just do what you can. Go and see it because you are watching Scorsese, one of the best filmmakers, as Edgar Wright said at this talk, not just one of the best living filmmakers, but one of the best filmmakers probably of all time, doing his craft 8 decades into his life.
Somebody consistently commenting on American culture and society and everything he does.
Why would you not want to see that on the big screen? So go and see that. And then do you know what the best thing is? As we've said before, it's going to be on the small screen for the rest of time.
Yeah.
And when it comes out on the small screen, you know what you do then? You watch it again, and then you have your comfort breaks.
You can do half one night, second half.
You know, like in football where you have one home game, one away game. Yeah. I mean, most sports. Sorry, man who doesn't watch sport here. Yeah. But you play the away game first, do it on Scorsese's terms, go watch it at the cinema, and then the second game, do it on your home turf, have your little comfort breaks. I'm really looking forward to seeing it again because I just think it's got so much in there. It's brilliant.
I'm so glad to hear it. I am one of those people that's slightly daunted by the runtime, but like based on like having just watched The Irishman and have had that exact same feeling of 5 minutes in, half an hour in, realizing, oh, this is incredibly well thought out. And even 3+ hours into my movie when it wrapped up, there was no sense that like thinking back to the earlier scenes that I was like, yes, that needs to be there, and that's so perfectly made with the 3 hours later in mind. Just the sense of experience. I'm really looking for, like knowing you're in the experience of Martin Scorsese when he does that. Another film, a great American epic on American culture. I cannot wait. All the stuff I hear about the way he deals with people on set and like little bits of behind the scenes you see where the actors seem to have a very good understanding of their characters, but a lot of the tone and actual understanding of the scene happens maybe like a few minutes before they press record. He's like, yeah, what do you think? I think it's that. I think it just seems great.
He knows how to work with actors and he knows how to basically bring out the best of every single department that's involved in a film. Yeah. I will say that I think what's also really interesting is that Scorsese is bringing in a lot of the themes that he's touched upon throughout his entire career.
I could tell.
So obviously you've got like the legacy of violence, the culture of violence, that and mob violence and mob mentality that's in The Irishman, Goodfellas, etc. But you also have the observation about faith and culture, which you get in like Kundun and Silence. And I think it's a very sensitive, multi-dimensional approach to fleshing out like the Osage tribe and the Osage culture.
So I know there's Jesse Plemons is in there, who I think is good in everything. Brendan Fraser's in there as well.
I'm going to tell you right now, Brendan Fraser's in it for about 5 minutes.
Fine, right. Yeah.
And we'll talk about it when you.
Okay, fine. So I'm seeing it, I think Thursday, which I'm very excited, which doesn't mean.
So next week we're hoping to drop a spoiler discussion of it, and there are a couple. There's one. There's a couple of cameos here and there and stuff from which I won't obviously spoil. There's one cameo that a lot of people will talk about, but there's another cameo from somebody else. I was like, that guy, what's he doing in this film?
Oh, really?
I think you'll either know this person or you won't. If you know who this person is, you'll be like, oh, that's Thingy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay, cool.
I do feel like I'm ever so slightly. I can't wait to do it, but I feel like I'm sitting at the foot of a really big hike, and I'm kind of like, brace yourself, go in.
But this is what I mean. Like, don't worry about failing. Don't
Yeah.
worry about needing to go to the
Peeing.
toilet or needing to like even to stretch your legs. Like it's okay because the film is going to be around. But you should absolutely go and see it on Martin Scorsese's terms.
100% seeing it
So
in cinema.
and then you could. That's the thing. It's like you can see it again, and you will want to see it again because you
Yeah.
will get to the end and think,
can
"Fuck,"
tell.
you will. It's like when you finished a 900-page novel and you
Yeah.
go, "Bloody hell, that was so detailed."
Yeah.
It is also like watching a miniseries in one sitting.
Yeah, true. Binging a HBO special, yeah.
It's brilliant, and it is so enlightening. Sorry, so inspiring that someone can continue to make films as good as they are at this stage of their career.
Yeah.
I mean, this for me is top tier Scorsese. It's really it's in
It's
his,
not like he's peaked and sort of like hovers around a slightly lower tier. It's
if
nice
you
to hear
look
that.
at the past. I mean, I think this stands up quite interesting next to The Irishman. Oh, and actually, I've only seen Gangs of New York once, but I think probably Gangs of New York structurally and sort of thematically is the closest comparison to this.
Okay.
But like, if you look at in the past 10 years, he's made Irishman, Silence, Wolf of Wall Street, Shutter Island. Like, those are actually all very different films. You've
Yeah.
got a very stark religious epic with Silence. You've got
Shutter Island being like a
3-hour
psychological
bombastic epic with Wolf of Wall Street, but Shutter Island, a studio B movie noir
Yeah.
inflected thing. A Hugo as well. Like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this guy's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was Killers of the Flower Moon. It's out next week. We'll be doing a spoiler discussion.
Guys.
I'm actually jealous you're getting to see it again.
Yeah, I know. You're trying to get your way in
It
there.
was
yeah.
the thing. I'm just like, I know
When
it's
you
2.5
said you
hours long.
when you said you potentially just to see it again, I was like, oh shit! Like he wants to come and see it again. It must be good because it's a long commitment in your week to come.
But also,
and do.
but the pressure's off because I've seen it. I know where I can go and pee. You know,
Yeah,
it's
that's
all right.
Well, guys, that was George's thoughts on Killers of the Flower Moon. It is out, obviously, by the next episode by next week's episode. But when you guys do get the chance to see it, we would love to hear your thoughts. Send in your thoughts to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com and we would love to read them out on the show. It's a good film. I cannot wait.
This is the thing. This is the thing. People are nervous about the runtimes. Like, relax. It's a good film.
Yeah.
You're going to enjoy yourself.
What is it? Is it just like the time after work in a midweek to go see it, or like
It's
blocking out the weekend?
In our very frantic, busy world and life, 3.5 hours does not slot into a time period very easily. That's
No.
also bordering on a medium length flight.
Yeah.
So like,
It's like I'll need a meal soon.
if you said like, yeah,
Like, I'll
exactly.
need-
That's between
basic,
meals.
like life sustenance needs to occur at some point. Like 3.5 hours is as long as they get, really. Like 4.
It's the
push.
longest film I've seen in the cinema.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Trying to
think.
think, give me another film I would have seen that's 3.5
Return
hours.
of the King.
Is that
Probably.
3.5?
It's 3.5. I think it's 3:15, 3:20.
Even The Hateful Eight had an intermission.
Yeah.
Also,
it
I saw
did.
this, can I say, in the second row. It was because it was absolutely packed, so I had to see
Oh,
it.
wow.
Like that.
Yeah.
Still great.
Yeah.
So the next film I want to talk about, and the next film I saw was All of Us Strangers, which is a new film from Andrew Haigh. Now, I am aware that people will have probably not seen Andrew Haigh's previous work, will not, if they hadn't listened to our previous episode about this film when we mentioned it, probably not know what this film is. It's not out till January. So let me tell you again what it is and why I think it's important. But why I think it's important is, first of all, actually, because I really like Andrew Haigh as a director. And Andrew Haigh has made some really interesting films. He's only sort of been working in the past decade. Particularly, the films I really like of his are Weekend and 45 Years, right? And this is relevant to when we talk about All of Us Strangers. So Weekend, which came out in 2011, it was like is now regarded as quite a seminal landmark film that in representing a modern gay relationship. And it's incredibly intimate and emotionally intelligent, and people from across the spectrum, from Lena Dunham to Bret Easton Ellis, have written about how significant and important Weekend was as a film. And then he followed it with 45 Years, which I think is just a brilliant film, only 90 minutes long. Probably up there in like one of my favorites because it's so interesting. It's the one I've told you before about the older couple and discovering something in their past. Please go out and see both of those films. He then made another film called Lean on P. He then did a TV series called The North Water, and now he's back with this film called All of Us Strangers, which returns him much more to the territory of Weekend, but with a much stranger kind of spin on it. So if anyone's seen the poster or read anything around this, they will know that All of Us Strangers stars Andrew Scott in the lead, as well as Paul Mescal and Claire Foy and Jamie Bell, and that is it. And a great cast. And I can tell you right now that those are the only 4 actors, pretty much in these films. Right?
Okay.
It is a 4-hander.
Yeah.
But not in a play way. Don't worry. And as people could probably tell from the kind of the poster and the description of it, it is a film in which a kind of romantic kind of tease between Mescal and Scott. Anyway, here's the setup. So Andrew Scott is living in a tower block in East London, a newly built tower block, and he is sad and he is lonely. And there's barely anyone else who's moved into this block. And we see on one of the first nights, there's a fire alarm, and he walks outside and like no one else in the building has come out because there's basically only just him in the building. And Andrew Scott looks up and he sees Paul Mescal in one of the windows looking down at him, and it's the only other room in the building that's occupied. They have a kind of brief conversation that's kind of flirtatious, a little bit awkward, a little bit mysterious, and it's very clear that Andrew Scott, who is shy, quiet, sad, is not quite ready or open at that point to engage with Paul Mescal. We see very quickly that Andrew Scott is a screenwriter, and he is writing about, we see him write exterior, suburban house, 1987. And we then see him look at a photo of the house from the 1980s, and it's clear this is based on sort of biographical experience. He's clearly he's trying to write about his own past life. And this is where the film takes a really interesting turn, which I think other people didn't expect, where they thought it would just be a romantic drama between Paul Mescal and Andrew Scott. What it is online it's described as a romantic fantasy film, or I would say a sort of haunted, beautiful ghost story in a way, right? Because Andrew Scott gets on a train and he goes to the village where he grows up, and he sees the house where he used to live, and he matches the photo to it. And when he sort of hangs around in the area and he goes to the park, and when he's in the park, he looks up and he sees Jamie Bell stood there with a moustache and with his polos tucked into his jeans. And Jamie Bell sort of gestures to him to come over. And he follows Jamie Bell at sort of a distance. And Jamie Bell picks some stuff up from the shop. And Andrew Scott's sort of looking at him bemused. And we as an audience as well, are kind of thinking, what's happening with this interaction? And I will say at this point, by the way, this isn't a spoiler. This is the basic premise of the film. But if you absolutely want to know nothing about the film, stop listening. This isn't a spoiler. This is the premise of the film. But I'm just aware that when I saw it, I knew nothing about it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Jamie Bell says, "Are you coming then?" And Andrew Scott says, "Where?" He says, "Well, home." And they walk to the house, and Claire Foy opens the door, and Jamie Bell says, "Look who I found wandering in the park." And Jamie Bell and Claire Foy are Andrew Scott's parents, exactly as they were in the 1980s. And we quickly learn that Andrew Scott's parents are no longer around, and this is exactly as they were in the 1980s. And Andrew Scott sort of...
I really didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. And Andrew Scott sort of talks to them, and what I love is that Andrew Haigh doesn't insist upon this conceit so much that it is, it's kind of left kind of ambiguous, but it's, Andrew Scott's a writer, so is it a fictional, part of his imagination? Is it, are they ghosts? It doesn't matter. That's not relevant to the story. They are just, he's present with his parents in that stage. And I think it's pretty clear that as he is a writer, it's kind of coming from that side of him. And so what you have is then kind of two twin intertwining stories of his interaction with Paul Mescal in his building block, and also he repeatedly goes back to visit his childhood home where he sees his parents as they were in the 1980s. And what's crucial to this film is that Andrew Scott is gay, and like I said, it touches on much things from Weekend, but a lot of the film is about gay identity, but what it is also really about is about grief and loss and male loneliness and isolation and nostalgia as well. So that's the kind of setup. You've got these two twin stories intertwining, and like I said, it's not ever... This conceit is never kind of Hollywood-defied or kind of insisted upon. It's just kind of that's the way it plays out. I hope I've described this well. I'm sorry, I've just come off the back of doing that Killers of the Flower Moon description. So, James, All of Us Strangers is probably one of the most profoundly sad and beautiful films I think I've seen maybe ever.
Wow.
Like, it is absolutely devastating, but
Really?
absolutely beautiful. I had a text from a friend going in who said, "Oh yeah, I've heard it's very sad," and I was like, "Oh, well, it looks kind of like melancholy." And then like the opening frames and the opening music starts, and you go like that. Okay. So first of all, what I was really surprised about, intrigued about, is how it has that central conceit at its heart, that kind of strange heart to it. I thought made it really interesting. And this story is really interesting. The way that what's interesting is that Andrew Scott's character, Adam, is that we're realizing how much of his identity as a gay man has been sort of affected and trapped by what happened in the 1980s. And, you know, conversations that he wasn't able to have has clearly informed who he is now. I'm trying to really tread lightly around the scenes of the film, because one of the brilliant things about it is it is so emotionally delicate and intimate and well put together that you just don't. I wouldn't want to intrude and put my mucky fingers over it by trying to describe it. It's a bit like when we talked about past lives, when we didn't want to sneeze near it. You said, 'cause you didn't want to knock it over, and that's how I kind of feel about this film. I'm describing this very strange film, but in a way, I really shouldn't. You should go and see it yourself and let it work out, because the more I describe it, the weirder it sounds, and actually, it doesn't matter, because Haigh is able to weave the tale in such a way that it doesn't matter.
That first beat you mentioned, I was like, oh, that's not at all. I didn't know anything about it either, but I really did think it was one of those
It's
films.
stranger. It's stranger than you think, actually. It has this kind of weird, supernatural, but like, it's not that. It's in a bit, in a way, it's been like 45 years, but it's just about being haunted by the past. And there's nothing horrific about it, but it just kind of, it's more like being emotionally haunted and ever so slightly leaning into sort of like visual language that echoes that, but never really overstating it. As with all of his other films, Andrew Haigh has shown that he is a director that understands intimacy, that understands characters, that never insists or imposes himself in his films. He just lets what happens. And what you get is a film that just emotionally rings so true. And is so powerful. I mean, for me, one thing I found really quite a really uncanny thing is that Andrew Scott's character, is his situation is exactly like someone I know, and I was almost having double vision at times, seeing the two together, and I thought, oh my God, this just reminds me of my friend. Let's just talk about the performances. So, well, you said great cast, and I said those
I would see that film just on the cast.
Just on the cast, and the joy of this film is just seeing that cast work so well. Jamie Bell is an actor I've mentioned before, who every time I see him in something, I'm always like, yes, you are. I love seeing
Another
you start
one,
because you are good, and like I love that you are. What the starting pistol that you fired with Billy Elliot all those years ago continues to be added to with all these great roles and all these great performances. You have Claire Foy, who we always love, who's just unbeatable, just a fantastic actor.
From like First Man to Women Talking, Crown,
doing brilliant things in this. And Paul Mescal again is like Paul Mescal.
It's a bit of a meme how much we fantasize over Paul Mescal.
Well, the thing is, he is the guy at the moment, and like it kind of reminds me where like Timothée Chalamet was like 5 years ago, and I was at that point with Timothée Chalamet where every role I would see him in, I would go in expecting to be like, okay, but is he going to be good in this one? Yeah. And every time I'd be like, oh, damn, he is actually quite good. And with this, Paul Mescal again proves that he's just such a brilliant like screen presence. I will say that after watching this film, I would like Paul Mescal to go and do a light comedy.
I really like to see...
Well, this is another...
you've got Swords and Sandals Gladiator. How do you feel about that?
Yes, that's good, but that's going to be quite intense. Well, this film adds to the canon of films, which is Paul Mescal, emotionally intense.
Emotional soft boy.
Emotionally intense, vulnerable, open wound kind of guy. Yeah. But the presence of Paul Mescal is funny as well because it, like, thematically, this film does, I think, lean interestingly with After Sun, which is another film about someone trying to reconnect with their parent, starring Paul Mescal, from speaking across the void. And I think the two, that's a compliment to both After Sun and All of Us Strangers. But Andrew Scott, I mean, unbelievable. I think about him now. I wanted to hold him in my arms. I wanted to hug him and look after him. He was so delicate and bruised and brilliant. And I realised watching it that we've never seen an Andrew Scott lead performance. I mean, I don't think I have. You think
maybe
Andrew
on the
Scott?
stage? He's probably done a lot on the
Of
stage,
course,
doing
of course.
Shakespeare and whatnot. But
But
no.
you say Andrew Scott to most people, they think either Moriarty or Fleabag.
Yes.
Right. And especially internationally, he's only really known for those kind of things
Yeah.
as well, or as supporting roles and stuff.
Yeah.
But in this, he's just formidable. I mean, really, really brilliant. And like, film is a small film, and it's not the kind of film that would ever get a lead actor nomination. Well, you said, but After Sun did. But I would love it if he got nominated for this. Yeah. It's just so, oh my God, like some of it it's so hard to talk about because it's so moving, and the sort of emotional beats this film treads are so well done that, I mean, honestly, James, there is one scene that just wiped the audience out. Really? You could just hear sniffles all around you, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, and then I'm like, oh no, there we go.
It's an early morning one.
Yeah.
You're just like starting your day already, like, oh.
I got tears streaming down the side of my face, and you can hear people around you also having the same reaction. It was so powerful. It's a really, really brilliant, beautiful film that's like, deeply profound. I think that I will understand if some people, if people have have a sort of limit or reservation with this film, it will be in that central conceit. I think the film works with that conceit perfectly well. I think there's some people who might chafe at it a little bit, but I think it works perfectly fine. There's a very Hollywood version of this film that could have been made, and I think it works really nicely with it. It is also a film about. Ultimately, the film is about love. Actually, that's the thing. I said those themes earlier, but like ultimately, the film is absolutely about love, and it is also a film though in which "The Power of Love," the song, is played about 3 times as well. And I'm
Just
like,
in case.
Yep, got it.
Pretty powerful.
I look forward to talking to everyone when the film comes out in January about it. I can just say, like, please go watch it, and absolutely go and watch Andrew Haigh's previous films. It's a real. It was lovely.
Just hearing you describe it as like deeply and profoundly sad it weirdly excites me as a film lover, because I think I look to be confronted with the extremes of emotion. Yeah. And I had a very interesting conversation just this week with my oldest sister, actually about horror films. Yeah. And we were just like scrolling through streaming services, and she was like, I don't like horror films. And I was like, it's okay. She's like, no, I really don't want to watch a horror film. And I was like, okay, we won't watch one, but like, why are you having such a reaction to it? She was like, I just don't like it. I don't get it. Why would you want to watch a horror film? And I was like,
my girlfriend's attitude.
Yeah. She's like, really, really doesn't like it. And I was like, I kept pushing to unpack it. I was like, I understand they're scary, but that's the point. It's meant to challenge you. It's meant to present you with an idea that makes you uncomfortable. All the reasons like I think we get excited by good horror concept. Yeah. And it's the same thing where I'm like, even though you're saying it's desperately sad to the point of tears, I'm like, great.
But you know
Give
what?
me something. Give it to me.
Absolutely great.
Let me feel something
I was watching
probably
this.
Can't feel without that film.
I was like, I think I really like heartbreaking films. I really like films that grab your heart and go, you like this? Huh? You like it? And like that's what I want from a film. I love being moved in emotion.
Totally, yeah.
If a film makes you laugh your ass off, if it makes you scared out of your wits, if it makes you cry your eyes out, fantastic.
Streams of human behaviour. It's why we're
Job
there.
well done.
Yeah.
Like
I really got affected by normal people at the end of most episodes.
Oh, God, yeah.
The way the score rose and the desperate state those two people were in, I had to like call my girlfriend at the end of each one and just be like, Jesus Christ.
A picnic compared to all of us.
Really? Do you think?
I don't want to overstate it because I don't want people to sort of emotionally steel themselves.
Yeah, sure.
For when they go into this, like there's some there's funny and witty lines in this as well. Yeah. It's just
bring tissues.
Really beautiful. Really
Amazing.
beautiful.
Well, guys, obviously this film, as George said, it's not out until January. But if you do get the chance to see it at the film festival, or what I'll probably do is we will repost this review closer to the time that it comes out in cinemas. But as always, we would love to hear your thoughts. Send them into hello@popkitchenpodcast.com, or just tell us the saddest film you've ever seen. Let's get sad in emails. Tell us some of this, or the film, maybe not the saddest, the film that affected you the most and gave you such a really strong reaction that maybe you didn't expect. I think it'd be quite interesting and sad to hear about some of the Sirens' saddest encounters with film.
Sad sirens. Sad.
George, should we go through some of the emails that we get sent every single week by our loving fans? If you wanted to send in an email to the show, to send in your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, you can do by emailing hello@popkitchenpodcast.com, just like Mark did. Mark writes into the show and says, "Hi, my lady and I," shout out to her, as she just turned 30. Happy birthday.
Congratulations.
We're eager to hear your thoughts on Triangle of Sadness as we watch both Past Lives and Scrapper off the backs of your recommendations. I know you guys have touched on Harris's upward trajectory since then, but I couldn't find any of your episodes where you spoke at length or in detail about Triangle of Sadness,
That's Harris
which is a
Dickinson,
favourite of mine and my lady's. Thanks to the great episodes. Thanks to the great episodes, giving us a great listen while we work. We discovered you guys after getting sent the clip of you two doing the newscaster voices. Ha! Best, Mark. Yes, I did review Triangle of Sadness. I don't know why that has got lost. Here's what I thought about Triangle of Sadness briefly. I thought I loved the opening, and I thought it had some really interesting ideas. And then the middle I found a little bit okay, and the end I found very much unraveled and lost, but it finished with a really great punchline. I longed for more of the opening sentiment, but it felt like 3 different ideas spliced into one movie, and it kind of lost me.
So we reviewed Triangle of Sadness about a year ago, and I can tell you right now, it was in episode...
Go on.
So I've just done a quick... an extensive
Google.
look through our back catalogue. And look, guys, in the formation...
Apologise for the old SEO.
Over the past 2 years, we try different things, and
Trying to figure out how to catalogue this stuff.
The way we have titled and described and captured and processed episodes has completely changed. But if you want to see our Triangle of Sadness review, you will find it in episode 54, which is titled "Does Avatar 2009 Hold Up?"
And you can guess we also talked about whether or not Avatar 2009 held up.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we should go back and title them and release them. But yes, sorry, Mark. I did give it a review. Please feel free to go back and listen to that. Do you think you'll get around to Triangle of Sadness, or are you not that fast?
I don't think I'm that fussed because I've heard it so. Also, no offense, your review, I thought, didn't give anything away, but the way you talked about it, I guessed exactly what was going to happen.
Right.
And then I saw a clip of that at the BAFTAs, and I was like, there it goes, confirms it for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm not that bothered. No.
Yeah, that's the 3rd film in the film.
Yes, and I'm also
It's deep into that part, you're like, what is happening now?
If I'm going to see a Ruben Östlund film, I need to see Force Majeure, because I've seen The Square, which I found really tiring. But
he's a bit of a Marmite filmmaker, I found, when I asked people about him.
This next email is from Declan, who says, "Dear James and George and James, and all the glorious sirens." By the way, James, I had a little think. Hope you don't mind. And I do think it might actually have to be George and James, purely following the Ant and Dec rule of left to right. Because when you look at us, it's left to right. And I thought, therefore, it typically should be George and James.
Is that true of other duos? Is that like a...
Just saying. I've just thought maybe it's...
they never stand Dec and Ant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when people look at us on screen, we are George to James, left to right. If you're reading it...
It's a war.
In a Western way.
People are very diplomatically offering both now.
I appreciate that. It's recognised. This past Sunday, I saw a re-release of Hocus Pocus in cinema. That's random. I'd never seen the film before, but it was absolutely wonderful. I loved the screening I was in, as it was with people who love everything spooky. Someone even dressing up as the core trio for the film. It felt like a true celebration for a film I was yet to enter. That's great.
Can I just say, when last week someone asked us what are some of your favourite films that aren't considered like the best films of all time, I'd go like Hocus Pocus is like a childhood favourite of mine.
All right, fair.
Because it's like really like junior Disney Channel horror. But it's very and then I saw it in a TikTok montage of autumn captured on film.
Oh, yeah.
And it had like Harry Met Sally and I don't know, whatever else. And then there was a clip from Hocus Pocus. And I was like, God, that is really classic Salem autumn done really well.
The film itself was such a greatly, instantly iconic picture that I just so wish was embedded, that I so wish was embedded in childhood nostalgia, because I know I'd love it so much more had that been the case. It's got a greatly funny and groovy script and vibrant / bold choices in the visuals. I love fantastical stories like this, but was only disconnected by its age. But I know, because I've seen it in such a beautiful environment, I loved it so much more. My question is, what films do you wish you experienced for the first time in the cinema? We have had that question before.
That quite recently.
I know one for me would be Pixar's Soul from 2020 that was released on Disney Plus due to COVID, but I would have loved to have seen myself looking around at a screening for all of us crying at that movie. Yeah, it's all right. So that's me saying that about Soul. All the best, and thanks for such brilliance. Declan, thank you very much. And he says, written from my quill by the fireplace, Plymouth, 1640.
Yeah, we answered that recently, and I think a couple of episodes back, so do check that out.
I would say that actually he makes a good point that I guess I would like to have seen all of the films that came out during COVID.
Yeah.
Actually in the cinema,
In
like
the dark room, yeah.
Sound of Metal, I'm sure I would have enjoyed more in the cinema. And then we also wouldn't have missed out on all those random films that are like blind spots because of the
like Coda that won Best Picture that neither
Coda.
of us have seen.
I know. Minari.
I will also say that Sarah Jessica Parker is in Hocus Pocus. She's got like maybe 7 lines, and she's really funny in every single thing that she says.
What
And
about also Hocus Pocus 2, don't forget, came out last
I heard
year.
that was absolutely terrible.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
Just straight onto the Disney Plus. Also, they're making the third one.
The main guy who plays the lead in Hocus Pocus, who I think in the film is 16. When I was a kid, that teenager looked like the most grown-up, everything sorted, well-adjusted person, and I still in my mind's eye picture him as this like older than me big brother. But when I watched that film in my 20s, I was like, that is a child. That is a young boy pretending to be something that is so disappointing. This next one is from Kyle, who writes in and says, "Evening, James and George, brackets George and James. The rebellion continues." Long-time listener from Atlanta, second time writing in. "I was the email from a year ago who was curious about why Don't Worry Darling was so hated for being too reminiscent of similar films. Before it went to me, it just felt like another This World Is Not What You Think It Is film to join the ranks of others. Anyway, wanted to say thanks for reading my email and talking about it in depth in the pod. It was great to hear Yar's takes on it. Anyway, the question I'm writing to you today is about odd film connections you stumble upon. Recently, I had a friend reach out to me to send him a list of movies I think will broaden his taste past the mainstream movies he's seen before. I noticed a lot of people create like long lists on their notes app on their phone.
Or what? Yeah, Letterboxd as well.
And there's that too. And they're sort of like in groups will be like, people like compare their long lists and they swap lists over and it creates this longer list. I've seen lots of people do that. And I'm like, I'm a big fan of that. Or they could just download Letterboxd.
Well, I like about Letterboxd is that it's visual. You can see the posters.
Yeah.
So it's like, what
Yeah,
movie is that?
One of the ones I sent to him was 2020's Kid Detective, directed by Evan Morgan. If you hadn't seen it, it's a really fun modern spin-off on the normal noir genre, starring Adam Brody as a private detective tracking down the decade-old death of a young girl in a small hometown, which ends up leading to a rather dark closing. Now, even though the film is only available for digital purchase, and that purchase price is $20 US,
wow,
my friend decided to go for it. He ended up loving it and was texting me his review. The interesting part is that he had also finished season 1 of HBO's True Detective, brackets 2014, the same night, and was shocked at the parallels between the two, other than the names. He ended up texting me this, and then he goes, spoilers for both True Detective season 1 and Kid Detective.
Well, no, I don't want to hear.
So
this
I'm going to hold on that just in case people.
Because the Kid Detective one, I've just looked it up. It says one of the darkest comedies of the year. Yeah, it came out during COVID, so no one was. So this looks great.
I love from the OC. Okay, so I'll just move on to the last part of his email. Feel throughout the ending, but in my friend's case, it allowed him to gain a deeper understanding of appreciation of them both. So to all this I say, my question is, are there any 2 projects, TV, movie, theatre, short, etc., that have premiered at very different periods of time that you guys have randomly watched near each other that ended up giving you that exact same level of understanding my friend had? And if so, what are they? Thanks again, fellas. Congrats on EP 100 and can't wait for EP 1000. Please do me a live pop quiz show in America sometime because I'm usually driving when listening to your podcast and I cannot keep pausing the episode during the games when James says, go, and timing myself to see if I can win 2. It just seems a little unsafe. Kyle, stay safe out there. Think of it like The Weakest Link. Watch George play, or equivalent.
Jeopardy. I don't have.
That's a very specific request.
What, you've randomly watched 2 films
2 projects
near each other
that have premiered at different periods of time that you watched near each other that ended up giving you the same level of understanding my friend had.
So you watch 2 films back to back, 2 completely different films, random films from different eras, and then you go, wow, those are actually like really similar. Would make a good double bill.
I only just realised that all of Alex Garland's work are like love letters to Tarkovsky.
Right.
Because I'm about to watch Solaris at some point, and I realised that Stalker is basically Annihilation.
Oh,
massively so. I had a real, I audibly went, oh! I was like, what? And I was like, don't worry. But I really realised it, and I was like, look, I was like, oh my God, Alex Garland's just like obsessed with Tarkovsky. But I didn't watch them similarly. I just had that epiphany like to myself. Sounds really inside baseball if you don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, actually, you know what I had is that I think I talked about this one at Christmas last year, where I just bizarrely, accidentally ended up watching about 3 or 4 different films about a plucky British outsider underdog who's outside of the establishment, who ends up taking on the establishment in a sort of dramatic, comedic way that produces results that are then turned into a biographical film that you're then watching.
Right.
That which was The Lost King, which is about the Richard III in the car park and the woman who strove to discover that.
Yeah.
Phantom of the Open with Mark Rylance, where he's like an amateur golfer and tries to get into the PGA. And then the other one was The Duke with Jim Broadbent, about this like Yorkshire guy who steals a painting. We just sort of watched them just accidentally, like within the space of 2 days of each other. And we were like, can we stop? We've just watched them. And like Sally Hawkins is in 2 of them. Yeah. Like Steve Coogan's Baby Cow Productions produces 2 of them. And we're just like, can we do it? Like, what? Anyway.
This next one is from friend of the show, Cameron, who says, hi, George and James. James and George, very diplomatic there. Hope you're both swell. I have to say, I'm very excited about the 100th episode. Hopefully, I can nab a ticket in time if work grant the day off. I hope you got your ticket.
Yes, I hope you did, Cameron.
Hope you
Sorry,
didn't
they
wait,
sold
Cameron.
like hotcakes.
I managed to watch The Creator over the weekend, and for a film, I'll check out my review from last week. And for a film I was cautiously looking forward to, I was really taken aback and surprised at how much I enjoyed the ride. Going into the screening, I had heard a few rumblings about the plot seemingly lacking compared to the rest of the film's elements, and ultimately, I do have to agree with James about noticeable removal of some scenes. I do think this harms the believability of some of the main characters' relationships shown. Also, the interjecting flashback scenes that kind of quickly flashed of scenes that were just shown minutes prior didn't really aid this. I do understand the reasoning behind the cuts, though, as the pace of the film was really consistent. I really do think the merits of this are in originality in the visuals. The world building and the inventions are just so exceptional, and I would fully embrace this over a slow-paced quicksand of sci-fi like Avatar. I actually look forward to rewatching this and just revisiting the world. My last 2 minimal gripes are to do with the importance of the Death Star weapon, Nomad, and the fact that it basically could have been a drone strike, but it does look awesome, so who really cares? And then you mentioned... Sorry. And then you mentioned a thing that's slightly spoilery, so I'm just going to skip it. But Cameron, I do kind of agree with you, but I didn't notice that on my way in. And then he goes on to talk about Star Wars. Cameron goes on to say, I also just want to add that Revenge of the Sith is slept on, and separated from Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones is a really great film. And I have to say, don't judge me, my favourite Star Wars.
We've had a lot of that recently.
Yeah,
These Revenge of the Sith and Monsters University lovers coming out.
Revenge of the Sith is better than the other 2. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's my favourite Star Wars project.
But it's the best one of the prequels.
Yes. Anakin's fall to the dark side, despite his mistreatment, despite his grief, despite the grooming, all come down to a split-second mistake, is increasingly devastating with every watch. The references to the Fallen Angel painting by Alexandre Cabanel are perfect, and Vader in his prime before the suit will forever be enjoyable. That is my 2 cents. I have to say, however, that even though I am a Gen Z, I do not understand this Monsters University hype, like at all.
There we go.
What is it about? No way near the classic of the original. Honourable mention, though, to Lilo and Stitch. I don't think it's received any airtime yet, but it was one of my favourites, and I'm interested to know if it's generational. I think it is. I've not seen Lilo and Stitch. Have you seen Lilo
I saw
and
it.
Stitch?
I saw it at the cinema. All right. Yeah. And they're making a live-action remake of it.
Stop. Wait, what?
Yeah, they're making a live-action run of it. They got the guy who's doing it is the guy who did. I want to say it's the guy who did Marcel the show with shoes on.
Yeah. Okay.
All
right, take it all back.
I think it's him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
do you remember?
I never really. Yeah, like, I can picture it, but.
It's set in Hawaii.
The problem with you,
they had to reshoot the whole the whole climax of it. They had to redesign because it was basically about a plane flying through a city, it's a skyscraper, and it was designed in 2001. And then obviously what happened. And they made it a plane flying through the mountains.
Well, there you go. It's some love for Lilo and Stitch on the show.
Sorry.
I'll also say that just quickly on the fall of Anakin Skywalker, like on paper between the dialogue, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But when Anakin kills Mace Windu and he's like, "What have I done?" I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And also the reveal of Palpatine being a Sith was the lamest thing. It's like, wait, you're the Sith Lord they've been looking for. It's like, couldn't that be cooler?
Yeah. I also think the whole confrontation when Mace Windu turns up with Kit Fisto and the other
feels
two,
weird and
it's
awkward.
awfully filmed fight scene. That should be
That
really
should be
cool
the coolest
scene.
thing.
Palpatine,
And it was in a
he does
tiny
this-
little cabin. Like,
and he does like a weird pirouette, and he
show me the
stabs
Emperor in
one of
his
the-
prime.
And one of them like turns their back and just sort of gets stabbed. Oh, it's just terrible.
You brought like 4 members of the Jedi Council in the Jedi Council's prime.
badasses as well.
And again, I think I've said this before on the podcast, but I always thought that the way the Emperor looked that that way because he was so in touch with the dark side of the Force that it corrupted him to such an extent that is what happens to you. Then, like, you know, when Anakin goes crazy, his eyes go yellow. If you were to be that connected to the dark side of the Force, your skin would decay and grey. But he just got burnt by his own electricity that he produces. That's like a snake dying from its own venom. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Also, I don't care what people say. The lines, power, unlimited power. Like, that screenwriter should be taken out the back and shot. Like,
I do like the meme where he addresses the democracy, and he's like, "The attempt on my life has left me scarred." And that great Ian McDermott voice, but I love it. It's like when older brother accidentally plays too rough with the little brother and it complains to the parents. Anyway, it's like you know what? I now think Hayden Christensen is not a bad actor. He had the worst dialogue.
Worst environment thing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
There's a really good Hayden Christensen.
You will try. Yeah. You underestimate my power. Because even Ewan McGregor makes it work. He's like, don't try it.
Also, didn't Ewan McGregor say that Attack of the Clones is the entirety of that film is done in ADR, all the dialogue, because the air conditioning unit that they had to keep the green screen machine cool, you couldn't hear any of the dialogue. Shattered Glass is a good Hayden Christensen non Star Wars film.
Yeah,
check it out.
I'm watching Ahsoka currently, but I'll have thoughts. Also, thank you to George for mentioning Only Murders in the Building. Definition of a great, easy watch, and I can definitely say I've missed Steve Martin in my life since Pink Panther and Pink Panther 2. Is there going to be a Bear Season 2 review coming anytime soon? Interested to know how it compares in your opinion to the first season, as well as your thoughts on the Christmas episode. I think it gets a lot of things right with an ensemble cast that Ted Lasso kind of fumbled in its last season. I know someone recommended Ahsoka last week. I have to also jump on that and say it's been worth the watch now. Now the series is finished. Just in case either of you needed the push to watch it, it looks like it will tie into the bigger Mandoverse, which while I'm subsequently not a huge fan of the connecting universe trope, I've enjoyed so far, minus Boba Fett.
There will be a Bear Season 2 review coming, most likely from just me, because James, you're far behind.
I'm far behind.
I will be doing it at some point. It'll probably be in a bonus episode. Bear with me. And on Only Murders in the Building, I only mentioned that fleetingly, but that's like a really cozy, easy watch. Very simple. It actually fits in like in the Venn diagram of all content that's happening at the moment. There's like a little gap where Only Murders just slots in and you go, oh, I didn't realize I needed that gap being filled in. And I need a sort of easy to watch, breezy, smart enough to keep you going, but not overly demanding viewing.
On Star Wars, I think I'm on the verge of a Star Wars catch-up binge completionist run. And I think what I'm going to do is finish a bunch of Star Wars stuff that I've left out, go back to some Star Wars stuff I think I've missed, and then I might do a bonus where I basically address Congress and talk about the state of Star Wars as it is, and where I'm at and what I've missed.
State of the nation.
Whole just sort of thing. Stand by.
Stand
give
by.
Give me a few weeks. Give me a few weeks. Got some stuff.
Wow,
checking out some episodes of Rebels and stuff. So just give me some time. Thank you both for making my Wednesdays more interesting. Cameron, sent from my high-tech gadget phone from the live-action Thunderbirds Our Go movie from 2004.
Wow.
Do you remember that with Bill Paxton?
That was Ben Kingsley.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, I bet that doesn't age well.
God, I remember that.
It'd be a good castless countdown because you'd be like, you what?
Yeah, Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
Like Americanized as well.
God, yeah.
Well, no, it was an American show, wasn't it?
Wasn't it? Yeah.
I thought it was just big in Britain, though. I thought it was a British show.
Maybe it was.
It feels very British, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Puppets.
What is it about it that makes it feel British? It's not British.
I think it's kind of the old-fashioned. It's the
American High School.
Maybe it's Lady Penelope, isn't that? She's like kind of. The
Anyway.
American High School. No, the American High School. That's not in the original Thunderbirds, is it?
No. But like that was a big.
Oh, that one was.
He's just a kid, but his family are the Thunderbirds.
And they live on Tracy Island.
Yeah.
Thunderbirds are go this summer.
Thunderbird 1, Thunderbird 2. Yeah, I never really.
No. Anyway, those are your emails. Thanks for writing in. James, it's time we play some games on the show. We're going to end the show with 2 rounds of an old favourite of the show, and that is Cast List Countdown. Mm-hmm. James, you know the drill, which is I read out the cast list of a movie, and as I approach the end of the cast list,
do you know how to play the game?
Where am I? Let me start again. James, the game we're going to play is Cast List Countdown. I have 2 rounds for you. You know the rules. I'm going to read out a cast list for you. You have to guess the movie before I reach the end of the cast list.
Shrek 2.
Oh my God.
No, just kidding.
Okay, I've got 2 for you. James, are you ready for your first round of Cast List Countdown?
Yes.
Guess the movie based on its cast in 3, 2, 1. Christopher Walken.
Click.
Alison Janney. Zac Efron. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Stardust.
James Marsden. Queen Latifah. Brittany Snow.
That is Hairspray.
Yes, absolutely. And the next ones were going to be Amanda Bynes.
Yes.
John Travolta. And any guesses for the name of the actress who plays the main part?
Nikki Blomsky or something like that.
Absolutely right. Yeah,
Blonsky,
correct.
yes.
That was Hairspray from 2007. A
Nice.
nice ensemble cast.
I
there.
really thought I'd have seen Nikki Blomsky in something else after that, but I never did. I don't know why I choose to say that. But I thought that was great. I thought James Marsden was really good in that film.
Yeah. Zach.
Who does Alison Janney play? Oh, she plays the mother of Amanda Bynes in that
I believe
film.
so, yes. Yeah.
Amanda Bynes, man. She was so good. She's the man, despite slightly problematic plot from nowadays. She's so good in it.
Oh, yeah, that's a hoot. It's a real
It's
hoot.
a really good. I remember
The
seeing
comic
that in the
timing.
cinema.
Fantastic.
So good.
And
She could have
Big
gone.
Fat Liar with Freddie Muniz.
Yeah.
Frankie
Paul
Muniz.
Giamatti,
Freddie Muniz?
yeah.
Frankie Muniz?
Frankie Muniz.
Is it Freddie?
Yeah.
Freddie or Frankie?
Frankie Muniz, yeah.
Muniz.
And I think it's Munez. I think
he's got the-
Oh, I don't know. No, to take me out. My favourite line, which is in the trailer, is when Paul Giamatti's all blue.
Yeah.
And he needs to get picked up in a blue car. And the guy's like, I knew I was picking up. He's like, I knew I was picking up a big blue man.
Is it offensive?
No, it's not. I just find it really funny. He's like, I knew I was picking up a big blue car. I didn't know I was also picking up a big blue man. And he's just, it's not that funny. It's not that funny. Anyway.
Okay. Would you like to have your next round of Casters Countdown?
Calm down.
Okay. Okay. Guess the movie based on its cast in 3, 2, 1. Dominic West.
Oh, it could be anything.
Lucy Liu. John C. Reilly.
Oh, okay.
Ty Diggs. Christine Baranski. Queen Latifah.
Again.
Richard Gere. 2 more. These will give it for you. Renee Zellweger.
Oh,
and
Chicago.
Yes, and Catherine
Yes.
Zeta-Jones.
Oh, I could have got that.
So I've mentioned that one because you have people that you completely forget are in it. So
Yes,
you've got Dominic West, Lucy Liu, and Ty
You're
Diggs and
the
Christine
son of a
Baranski.
bitch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
right at the beginning. He is Amos. No, Amos is John C.
Amos is-
Reilly.
yeah, he
Cellophane.
Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane.
There you
Not
go.
good, dirty right. You know we could have violated her.
you
You
know-
know what I mean? Violated.
This is this game is only so good when you know the answer. It's better when like I'm singing and you really don't know. But
Yeah.
But there you go. 2 musicals.
That was great.
with
Chicago's
ensemble.
great. Renee Zellweger, great.
Yeah,
Nah.
yeah. It is good.
Catherine Zeta-Jones, Velma Kelly. You kidding me?
What does that mean?
Just
What
like
do you
she's
mean? What do you
great.
mean by that, James? What do you
do
mean
you
by
mean?
that?
No, like she's great.
Yeah.
It's like a New Yorkism. You kidding me? She blows it out of the park.
And you're from North London.
Yes. Here I am.
Come back down to earth.
Richard Gere, fantastic.
Richard
you got
Gere.
$5,000? You got $5,000?
Boom, boom.
Oh yes.
boom,
Oh
boom,
yes.
boom,
Oh yes. They both.
Very good stuff. That was a 2 musical entry finishing way of ending the round of Castless
And now
Countdown.
the musical number. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Pulp Kitchen. We really do appreciate you spending your time with us. I would ask one thing of you guys listening or watching to us. I know many of you who listen are not currently following us on Spotify or subscribe to us on YouTube. If you could do us both a huge favor that really helps the show, go and click that link. It really does help us if you do that. But yes, don't forget we post new episodes of this show every single Wednesday.
Do what the man says. He has quite a temper. You can continue to please follow us and subscribe to us on Instagram and TikTok as well. Like our posts, comment saying "ha ha hee hee." What a great time.
Yeah,
Send it to a
comment
friend and be like, "What a great time I've had watching this clip. You should watch this too, friend."
Yeah, I guess we're getting sad next week. Send us the saddest film moments
Oh,
ever.
yeah, absolutely. Join
Bring
us next
tissues.
week for more films from the London Film Festival, including Bradley Cooper's new movie Maestro about Leonard Bernstein. See you then.